I forgot.
All right, welcome to Talking Shop. Today we are looking at Luke chapter 16, verses 1 through 15. Tough text.
Easy peasy.
I mean, this one will challenge us. It will challenge your preaching. We do look forward to any comments you have below as we kind of work our way through this and see about what's our Lord say about relationships, about trust, about the character of the master of the house, and about why we should care about an unrighteous manager who acts very shrewdly with his friends. But we will work our way through it the best we can. Like, subscribe, and let's get after it.
Spit out my Lord in every way, yet I'm still welcome in the arms of the
All right. Luke chapter 16, verses 1 through 15. He also said to his disciples, interesting, this comes right on the heels of the parable of the prodigal son.
Yeah.
So one of the most famous and well heard and well preached on texts, followed by one of the least heard, most confused, probably most avoided by preachers' texts, the parable of the dishonest manager. So there was a rich man who had a manager. This is like a house steward or a butler or somebody who's managing the household, right?
Accountant, possibly.
Yeah. And charges were brought to him that this man was wasting his stuff, right? His possessions. All right?
Doing the same thing as the prodigal son, by the way. Same word is used there.
Yeah,
So,
exactly right. Yeah, so this the younger son who goes off and squanders it, that's what he's accused of. And actually, we kind of figured out right away, when we were translating it, I made the joke about, he doesn't like call witnesses to figure this out.
Right.
He just immediately goes, he's out of here, right?
Yeah.
And we realized from the actions of this manager, he's guilty.
He probably should be out of here. Yeah.
Because he doesn't try to make a case for himself, right?
Right.
So he calls and says, what is this I hear about you? Turn in your the account of your management, or the word or the thing of your accounting, or however you're going to translate that, right? The turn in the books.
Turn in the books.
That's what he wants,
Yep.
right?
Hand over the books.
Yep, hand over the books.
Not before I cook them a little bit.
Yes, because you can no longer be manager.
Dunamai, you are no longer able. You no longer have the power. And here you could probably say, since it's the Lord doing it, the Lord of the house, you no longer have the authority to be the manager.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And so what does this manager do? What are his ponderings of him with himself?
That first question, he asked himself, what shall I do since my master is taking the management away from me?
Yeah.
So, what to do?
And then he thinks about his skills.
Right.
And
Takes account
he
of his
says he is
skills.
not strong enough to be a ditch digger.
Right.
So he's too weak to work in the fields.
Too proud to beg.
And he's too proud to beg. I love that one. Yeah, he's too proud to...
So manual labor, those kind of things, that's out for him. He knows that, or at least he assumes that. And then begging is like kind of the opposite. Okay, well, I could beg, make a living that way, but he's too proud for that. The one thing he has currently are the books.
Yeah.
He hasn't turned them in yet.
Yeah, because they're asked of him, but he still has them. Right? And so what does he decide to do with these books before he has to turn them in to the master?
I know what I shall do. I shall...
Cushion my fall.
I shall work with the people on the books so that they might think highly of me, and when everything falls apart, they'll go, "Hey, that guy was good to me.
Yeah.
I'll help him out."
Right.
Yeah.
So there's some assumptions here, right? Like they still assume he represents the master.
Yes.
Probably.
Yes.
And he at least still has the books.
He still has, yes.
And you don't know if the master will know necessarily what he's done. I mean, you like all that kind of stuff,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, you assume he's going to know. I mean, these are huge sums.
He's going to find stuff out, but what's he going to do? Fire him?
Yeah, exactly right.
You know,
And not only that,
And the books are official.
they are official. They, and in the debtor's eyes, they represent the Lord, and this just puts in an even higher esteem the Lord to whom they owe all these debts. And what's the owner going to do now? After they got the good news of their debts being canceled, go back in and undo that great esteem that they reflected on.
Sure. What's he gonna? Yeah, he's kind of putting him in a spot too.
It is.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
He looks grand. He looks generous, kind,
He's so
forgiving.
awesome. This guy's great.
As I'm thinking forward to some theological connections, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So he gets them all lined up one by one, and we hear of a few of them, right? How much you owe my master? And he owes him what? First guy owe.
So your English is going to read 100 measures of oil.
Okay.
The Greek, as we looked at it, uses the word bath,
Yeah.
Fill it up.
which we found out
Is a lot.
Is a lot.
Yeah.
Right? They're like the size of the jars that Jesus, the water jars that Jesus
Oh, interesting.
fills, and they're a little. I think they're a little bigger than
Close
that.
to
A bath
that,
is
okay.
a
Instead of
little bigger than
6,
that,
we're
but still.
talking 100.
But instead of 6, we're talking 100. Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot financially. It's a lot of resources. A lot of I can't remember off the top of my head. Well, we looked at it earlier. How many trees it takes to make a bath of oil? I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is not a small amount of oil.
Not at all.
Something that's very,
Yeah,
it's
what
a
did
good-
you? What it was like 100 trees per
trees
bath or
it's
something.
like an
yeah,
estimation. Yeah, it was kind of
it's
crazy.
crazy. I don't have it in mind.
So 100 baths of oil or measures of oil, whatever you got. And he says to him, hey, sit down, take out your bill. Let's readjust that to 50.
Let's
I
let's
vote
knock
for that guy.
Let's knock 50% off
Yeah.
of that debt.
Yeah.
Student debt, did you say?
No.
Right.
Yeah. My bath bill identifies as a student loan.
So he reduces it, and then you get another one. The next guy, he says, how much do you owe? And that guy owes what?
He owes 100. Where did it go?
Measures of wheat.
Yeah. There we are. Cores of wheat.
Yeah.
Which a core turns out to be about 15 bushels. So mine said that you could be justified in English to say 1,000 bushels of wheat.
Okay.
1,000 to 1,500 bushels of wheat.
Yeah.
Lots of wheat.
Lots of wheat.
Right. Lots.
That's,
Again, a large amount of money.
Yeah, I'm
tied
trying.
up
I'm
in
trying to
this.
remember how much. Those of you back in the Midwest who are still connected with the harvest would know this, but I'm trying to remember how many bushels a dump truck holds.
Oh,
Right. So one of the trucks that you would take to that, and I can't think of it, but it's
mega.
yeah.
So sit down, take
a
your
lot.
bill. This time it's not half, but it is instead of 100, he writes 80. Right, so it takes 20% off.
He didn't like this guy as much. No, wait.
Actually, I think when I was looking up, I think the amount of money is probably equal across
Oh,
the
okay.
two
Yeah.
because this
Okay.
would actually been more financially.
Okay,
than
the wheat would
than
have
the
cost
oil.
more than
Yeah,
the
yeah.
oil.
This amount, yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, I
So he
could be
takes
wrong with
more of the debt, if you will.
that. Yes. So
Yeah.
makes it right 80, right? And then verse 8 blows everyone's mind. You're reading this in church, you get to it, you're like, oh, okay, this guy, man, he's out there, he's doing his own thing, he's shrewd, he's taking care of himself.
And if
Yeah.
he stopped it right
when the
there,
master hears about this, not only is he going to lose his household, he's going to be thrown into
Yes.
debtor's
Thrown in,
prison.
yes.
He's going to have all of these
And
issues.
verse 8 starts, the master commended is how the English sometimes praised.
yes,
yeah.
Praise and again, it's not praise this wise man. No, praise the. Now again, I think English tends to go dishonest manager.
Yeah. Right.
It's an unrighteous
Manager. Yeah, ad
right?
decos.
Yeah.
yeah.
So he praises him. Why?
For his, and it's not, it's not wisdom. Sometimes it's like that, but I think our best understanding would be street smarts.
Yeah.
Right? It's often, I think, translated shrewdness.
Yeah. Which kind of works. I mean, basically you're looking at what do you got?
Yeah.
What do you have to work with?
Right.
Yeah.
Make the most out of that, and
Right.
that's exactly what he's doing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not legal.
Yeah.
It's not right in that regard.
Right.
He's looking out for himself. He is unrighteous in that, right?
Because he acted shrewdly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
practically.
he says this, for the sons of this world or this age are more shrewd in dealing with their own generations, or wise, that same word there, right? Than the sons of light.
Yeah.
Nice little
Okay.
rebuke.
I tell you, make friends for yourselves by means of
Unrighteous.
unrighteous
stuff. Mammon.
Mammon, yeah. So that when it fails, not if, but when, they might receive you into eternal dwellings.
Yeah.
What in the world is going on
Go in
here?
peace, serve the Lord. Dishonestly.
Yeah. Make friends with the Oh, okay, so it's not make friends of the people of this generation. It's just make friends for yourselves
Yeah,
Right.
by means of unrighteous wealth.
yeah,
And I think the text gives us a little bit of clue on the unrighteous wealth,
yeah,
because the next verse 10 says, one who is faithful in very little. So in other words, these vast amounts of dollars, treasures, are really, in the bigger picture, bring in kingdom of heaven, those things are little
Small
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
compared to,
yeah. I think that's a big image that I think comes out here. You could think maybe like on the flip side, if you were following through Luke, you just had the prodigal son, where the father there kind of doesn't care at all about the wealth and the stuff.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
He's more interested in celebration and the
Yeah.
restoration of a son who was lost.
The
and was
relationship,
found,
yeah.
and that kind of thing. And here, you get down, it's like what this manager has done is he has basically said these relationships are of far more value than any of the stuff.
yeah.
And the master even sees that
Yeah.
and says, "Man, that's a smart move."
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yeah.
that, and then here, so he's saying, look, the people of this generation tend to get this, and you have, like, this is of nothing for you.
Right.
Like, use it. Just use
Yeah,
it. Use
yeah,
it
these
to
are-
gain
Right.
camaraderie, friendship, relationships.
Yeah.
Build it this isn't about building your own little fiefdom. It's about giving it away or using it or spending it,
Yeah.
so that you are welcome then in these eternal dwellings, these
Yeah.
relationships. I mean, at least that's
Yeah.
where I would begin.
Yeah.
I guess it got to be part of it. I mean, we're not even done with this text yet,
Right.
But I mean, this is a big hurdle to get over.
Well, and I was thinking on a spiritual side, in the terms of the debts, right? Forgive us our debts as we also forgive those who are indebted to us, right?
Right.
That there's this reality too, where we go to somebody and we say, "You're forgiven."
Yeah.
Now, by what authority do we actually have the ability to wipe the slate clean? I mean, other than the fact that God has given us that authority, but
Called us to.
but the reality is that in doing that, then the master also, like you were saying, also has to do that, right? It's not like he can now go to these people and go, "Oh, you were forgiven by them, but
Yeah.
you didn't talk to
Listen,
me
that's
about it, right?"
That's right.
And so there is a reality
The
where
master honors what this manager
the master
does.
honors what the manager does, even as shrewd as it is. And so, and I think that's part of it. So you
Yes.
could go to the spiritual side with forgiveness, but it's also the reality with the stuff that he gives
Stuff.
to us.
Yeah.
That he honors the use of that stuff, even if it is
Yeah.
in a very practical sense.
There was a commentary I read years ago, and I've used this, I think, in sermons before, in that what you said right there was basically the way the commentator went with it, was that the only way this manager has any success is if the master over him doesn't ruin him.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
in other words, he's, so like, to put it Christologically, what if I'm remembering it right, it kind of works out like it's like, he's banking everything on the character of the master.
Yeah.
In that he won't just throw me in prison when he finds out what I've done.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? But rather, because I've made him generous in the eyes of the people, he will therefore relent and allow me the joys of these relationships or whatever. I mean, I can't remember exactly how it goes.
Yeah.
But that's sort of an interesting thing. It's like, even though you're using unrighteous mammon, you're doing all this kind of stuff, it's like, at the end of the day, he's still banking it on the forgiving character of that manager.
Yeah.
Or that the manager, or the master, sorry.
yeah.
Or that the master will say, hey, you went forward to be loving in my name.
Yeah.
And I'll back that.
Yeah.
Like in a crazy.
Yeah.
And I guess what's great about this is it doesn't allow this to be coded in Christian. I had this alternative motive.
Yeah.
No, he was trying to save his own skin. That's
Yeah.
all he was doing.
Right.
And yet the only way it plays out is if that master is merciful.
Yeah.
It's the only way it works.
And
in the end.
and actually, in the I lost my thought, but because I don't think I was going to say it right. The master is, the manager is only acting out of his self-interest.
Yes.
Right.
And the master still sees those, if you will, as good works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of when someone, as an adult, goes forward to be baptized. There could be 100 different reasons why that person wants, and maybe chief among all those reasons would be, I don't want to die and go to hell.
Yeah.
It's kind of a selfish,
Exactly.
looking out for my self-preservation, but that's completely honored in the sacrament of holy baptism.
And God still uses that in order to fulfill his purposes. Yeah.
So, and if that wasn't hard enough, it gets harder, right? Mike already hit on one who is faithful in very little is also faithful in much. One who is dishonest in very little is also dishonest in much. If then you have not been faithful in the unrighteous wealth or mammon, who will entrust you with true riches, right?
With the truth, yeah.
So with the truth, that's what it is, just the truth, right? So if you're not faithful with these things that are not eternal, right? That are not defining in any scope outside of the end of this age, right?
Right.
Then why would they trust you with things that are the big stuffs,
right?
The eternal things.
And so in that sense, this could be a sanctification message, a passage. But there's another sense, especially with all those unrighteous words, uses of that, it also could be a justification passage, honoring what the Father has to offer, forgiveness of sins, which is a greater debt than anything material anyway. And here we are called as pastors to transact that forgiveness of sins, which is eternal things. So we're stewarding the justification, the forgiveness of sins to sinners.
And maybe we should even think of ourselves as the shrewd managers, in the sense of God coming to us and going, "You are unworthy to do my works any longer. Turn your job over to me." And we go, what do? We don't. I know what we'll do. We'll go and we'll pass along His good gifts to everybody else. And maybe, just maybe, then that'll put us in at least their good graces. We don't know. We don't know about Him, but it'll at least put us in their good graces.
I think that's well done, thou good and faithful.
And so you get in verse 13, which is I think where a lot of people tend to end with this, right? No servant can serve two masters. That's like the big line there, because if this guy was out for just the financial gain, right. That would have been his ruin too.
Woe be to him,
but he wasn't. He was like willing to just. He was currying favor. He was working for relationships, right? So he can't. So either he will hate the one or love the other, or he will devote to one, despise the other. I mean, this is if you're hitting on this text, I mean, this is modern day America is an easy text to preach on, or maybe not easy, but maybe something we ought to. Into getting into the heart of what do you serve, and I think that's the thing is like if you're serving God, if that's the function, then that maybe moves it in this relational conversation of how we're living our lives instead of transactional as getting my own kind of thing. And then it frees you to say use the stuff. What do you need it for?
Well, and
like, use it to work with
and
people.
don't forget the manager isn't accused of stealing, if you will. The manager is accused of being inept. He squandered the master's possessions. In other words, he didn't
put them to good use.
He didn't put them to good use. And actually going to the people and changing their bills and trying to wipe the debt off the books and do all of that was actually being more of a manager.
Now
That's
you're doing
really good.
Than he was.
Yeah, because you could almost say he's in that he's not doing what he's supposed to do. And then basically the hour comes.
He starts managing.
And he goes, now what do I do? I got a little bit of time with the books.
Right.
I'm going to do everything I can to better my situation going forward. And lo and behold, he's
now what's left unsaid, you don't know exactly in real life how it turns out. If it was anything real to it.
So this becomes a stewardship of don't care about the stuff, care about God, but at the same time, it's care about the things that God has given you to do. Because if you're not doing those things, then and maybe if you're afraid of God's judgment in not doing those things, maybe it'll actually get you to do it.
Who in this world could be called to be a manager of the Lord's things who's not unjust? Is there anyone he could have called who's not? No, we're all unjust. So it kind of reminds me back up in Luke a few chapters when Jesus says to his followers, if you then being evil know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more?
How much more?
Because you just called all dads evil. Well, we are. All stewards are evil. That's all he has to choose from, the lump of evil possible candidates.
So then it ties up here. The Pharisees, this is not very nice, who are lovers of money, it says, heard all these things. They ridicule him. They start to ridicule our Lord. And he says to them, you are those who justify yourselves before men, but God knows your hearts. For what is exalted among men is an abomination in the sight of God. Now, this is not a helpful ending, I don't think. So it kind of presses back on what you're doing, like I don't know, like this is the challenge that's been going on because this starts with the text we had before of they're grumbling because he receives sinners
and tax collectors,
and now he tells all these parables, and this is the fourth one really in a row, and he challenges back to them and says, he's challenging on like they're far from God, like they're the lover of the money, they're not striving after what God has called them.
Well, and maybe they ridicule him for the same reason why we might when we hear this parable. It's like, praise the shrewd manager? I mean, that's ridiculous. He took away the owner's stuff. And the Pharisees probably are thinking to themselves, if any of my managers did that, right, or if anybody did that to me, they'd be done, right? And so they're still thinking about the stuff.
Sure they are.
When they're
or to back up to a week or two ago, right? Which one of you having 100 sheep and loses one leaves the 99?
Right.
And they'd be, nobody. No. That's ridiculous.
No, we're
not doing that.
Right. And so again, what we think of is we think of the owner, the Lord of the house, praising the shrewd manager, like he he took your stuff from you.
Yeah.
Right? We're still focused on the stuff. And the whole time the owner actually understands that the manager has changed to an understanding of relationships, and maybe that was
the key.
Yeah, maybe that was the key in all of it.
Eternal things.
So
anyway. Boy, that's a
stuff.
lot there. There's an article on craftedpreaching.com that'll deal with this text as well.
Hopefully fix all the problems we created.
Please leave any comments below. That's going to be helpful to anyone who's attempting to preach this text. It is a difficult one for all those reasons we've kind of talked at and around, I think. Yeah. So like, subscribe, and God bless your preaching.